Okay, so let's dive into this major legal story unfolding right now. We're talking about the criminal trial involving uh, a huge name in music.
Yeah, someone known by quite a few names over the years. Puffy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy, even Love.
Right. And the trial itself actually kicks off today with jury selection in New York City.
And the charges are really, really serious. We're looking at racketeering conspiracy and sex trafficking. Big stuff.
It's not just one incident, is it? The prosecution's argument is that this was like a pattern over many years.
Exactly. They're basically claiming he ran a criminal enterprise.
A criminal enterprise involving, well, the list is pretty long. Sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, even things like arson and bribery.
Yeah, and obstruction of justice, too. The core allegation seems to be manipulating women into commercial sex acts.
Not just with him, but with other people as well. Is that right?
That's the claim.
Hmm.
And the indictment talks about how this control was allegedly maintained.
Through money, drugs, threats.
Yeah.
The usual suspects in cases like this, unfortunately.
And it details these alleged events called freak-offs.
Right. Described as these elaborate drug-fueled parties.
And sometimes filmed, apparently.
Yeah.
Which adds another layer.
Definitely. And then there are the separate accusations of physical assaults, too, against women, employees, potential witnesses.
It all feeds into this narrative the prosecution is building about control and exploitation.
Right. So that racketeering conspiracy charge, that ties a lot of this together.
It seems to. Specifically, it mentions alleged sex trafficking involving 3 individuals and forcing an employee into sexual activity.
And we expect to hear directly from accusers.
Yes, 4 accusers are expected to testify. Their testimony will obviously be crucial.
And the potential consequences here, if he's found guilty on everything.
It could mean a life sentence. The stakes are incredibly high.
Of course, there's the defense side, too. What are they arguing?
Their position seems to be that these relationships were consensual, part of a, quote, private sex life.
So a fundamental disagreement about consent versus coercion, that's going to be central. Now, thinking about evidence, there's one piece that's already gotten a lot of attention, right? The hotel video.
Ah, yes. The 2016 hotel security footage. It reportedly shows him attacking his then-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, or Cassie.
And the descriptions of that video are pretty disturbing. Throwing her down, kicking her.
Dragging her down a hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah. It surfaced publicly after she'd already made allegations.
She had filed a civil suit first, alleging rape and abuse, which got settled pretty quickly, didn't it?
It did, yes. Very quickly.
And the prosecution connects this video incident directly to their broader case.
They claim the assault shown in the video happened during one of those alleged freak-offs.
So they're using it as like an example of the alleged pattern of abuse and control.
Exactly. And significantly, the defense tried to keep this video out of the trial.
What was their argument for excluding it?
They argued it was just a glimpse into a consensual relationship, essentially. Misleading context, maybe.
But the judge didn't buy that.
No, the judge ruled its relevance outweighed the potential prejudice, so the jury will likely see it.
Wow. Okay, so that's a major piece of evidence. Now, shifting to the trial process itself, jury selection, that started today.
Yeah, and you can imagine, for a case this high profile with this kind of subject matter, picking a jury is going to take time.
Hundreds of potential jurors, right?
Exactly. They need to weed out bias, find people who can be impartial despite everything they might have already heard or, their feelings about the sensitive topics involved.
I read there were disagreements between the lawyers about the questions for potential jurors.
That's pretty standard, but yeah. Apparently, questions about views on sex, drugs, violence, having multiple partners.
Things that might relate directly to the defense's arguments about a consensual lifestyle.
Precisely. And also questions about media exposure, which is huge in a case like this.
Makes sense. Both sides want jurors who lean, well, not against them from the start.
Of course. And it's worth noting, while the trial's public, it won't be streamed online. So most people will get information via news reports.
And the time estimates. Prosecution thinks they need about 3 weeks.
Around 3 weeks, yeah. The defense anticipates maybe 1 week for their case.
That difference is interesting. Suggest maybe the bulk of the complex evidence comes from the prosecution.
Could be. Or just different strategies and presentation.
Now, the defendant himself, he's been in jail since September, right? Without bail.
Correct. His lawyers argued for his release, mentioned horrific conditions, said he wasn't a flight risk.
But the judge denied bail.
Yes. The judge called him a serious flight risk and also brought up allegations that he tried to contact potential witnesses from jail.
Oh, breaking prison rules. That wouldn't help the bail argument.
Not at all. It reinforces the idea of potential obstruction or interference.
And he turned down a plea deal before this.
Reportedly, yes. Federal prosecutors offered a deal. He rejected it. Seems determined to fight this in court.
He'll be wearing regular clothes in court, not prison garb.
Yes. That's standard practice to avoid prejudicing the jury. He needs to look like anyone else facing trial.
And the legal teams. Both sides have experienced lawyers.
Definitely. His team includes attorneys known for handling similar high-profile cases. The prosecution team is interesting. It's reportedly all female, with experience in sex trafficking and racketeering.
An all-female prosecution team. That feels like a significant choice, given the nature of the charges.
It could be perceived that way, certainly. Sends a message, perhaps.
And the defense has hinted at this swinging lifestyle argument.
Yeah, suggesting consensual activity, not criminal behavior. They've also pushed back against the idea he's being sort of unfairly targeted.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the main charges again. We have sex trafficking.
2 counts of that, and 2 counts of transportation for prostitution.
And the big one, the racketeering count.
Right, the RICO charge, that's the one encompassing the alleged pattern: kidnapping, drugging, coercion, sometimes involving weapons or threats, according to the indictment.
And there were those reports about things found during raids on his properties.
Yeah, reports mention drugs and lots of baby oil, which the prosecution allegedly links to the freak-offs.
It's also important for people to remember there are civil lawsuits happening too, right?
Yeah.
With similar claims.
Yes, numerous civil suits. Those aren't part of the specific federal criminal trial, but they form part of the, the overall picture and public narrative.
And his position on all of this, criminal and civil.
He's denied everything, vigorously. Called the civil suits attempts at a quick payday.
His lawyers are expressing confidence.
Very much so. They've put out statements saying they trust the process, believe the truth will clear him, asserting he never assaulted or trafficked anyone.
Did they try to get any charges dismissed? I think I saw something about that.
They filed a motion on 1 count, arguing unfair targeting based on race, but we don't have confirmation if that was granted. So as it stands, he faces all these charges.
Okay, so stepping back,
Mm-hmm.
this deep dive really shows just how complex this situation is. You have immense fame, power.
And incredibly serious allegations. It really brings up huge questions about accountability, doesn't it? Especially in industries where power dynamics can be so skewed.
Absolutely. And the evidence, like that security video we discussed, plus the testimony from the accusers, it's all going to be under such a microscope.
Not just by the jury, but by the public watching this unfold.
The outcome here could really have, well, lasting effects for everyone involved, obviously, but also for how we talk about these issues more broadly.
Definitely. It could impact how future cases involving powerful figures are perceived, how victims are treated. It resonates beyond the courtroom.
It makes you think about the challenges in these cases, proving things beyond a reasonable doubt, navigating consent versus coercion. It's incredibly difficult for both sides.
It really is. The burden of proof is high, as it should be, but demonstrating coercion or lack of consent years later, especially within complex relationships, it's tough.
And it leaves you pondering that line, doesn't it? When does someone's private life, especially someone so public, become a matter for the courts and public debate? What are the implications when that happens?
That's the big question hanging over this, I think. Where is that boundary, and what does it mean when it gets crossed so dramatically? Something to definitely keep thinking about as this trial goes forward.